She's back if you want her. Yes, sure.
Let's get into this. So, I am 22, which is an age in my head, like from my early years, never really conceptualized. I just kind of knew that I would grow old, but I didn't think of a specific age. I was just kind of like, okay, we're gonna age. And I'm 22 now, and a lot of me does not feel that way at all. There has been a lot, and I mean a lot, that I feel like I've lived through, I've processed, and I've just existed in to lead me to the point that I am today in life, how I view my life, what I want my life to be in the future, and just anything in that regard. So I kind of wanted to start off with this as the intro, or sort of like the first video that I have out, because I feel like I'm at a really interesting point in my life where I am at a really pivotal turning point, where I'm technically starting my life, in the sense that I'm starting my adult life, and I'm really having to make decisions and think about things in a way that are more long-term than short-term. So whether it be things concerning family, friends, me personally, life decisions, money, all that, like, is just in my head of things that I have to think about right now. It's super exciting because I know it's something that I can mold. Like, I kind of feel it, like, in my hands. But it's also can be a little scary. So I'm about to graduate college. I am a senior right now, and I decided to kind of extend my college to the end of this year, just to kind of give myself more time in terms of just like using resources, connecting, and just whatever. And I know that that isn't the end all be all. Like, I'm not thinking like, oh my gosh, like that's the only place where that can happen, but it is admittedly a little bit of a safety net in that sense, in terms of just you do have these resources at your hands. And I feel like for so much of my college life or college career, I just really didn't think to use those resources, mainly because I just wasn't in the mindset or believed that I understood and knew what I was working towards. I think now that I have such a greater grasp on at least where I'm headed or where I would like to go, there's so much more intentionality about using those resources. So I'm just like, you know what, I need to use them while I have them, and once I leave, I'll be okay, and I'm okay now. So, but when I first started college, that was a really rocky time in my life, and I'm not gonna get like too specific about that just yet, mainly because it's just like I don't know, there was just a lot of transition, naturally graduating high school. There was just some personal life transitions, a lot of grief at that time, and just there was just so much going on. And in my head, I absolutely felt like the switch, in which everything from my life before up until a certain date, like, it just was no longer it, and I was a completely different person. It's like I entered a completely different reality, and it was scary because I felt like I had to let go of so many things that felt so familiar and felt so long lasting at that point. I felt like I had to, I don't know, just become a different person and really be intentional about like who I want to be, not in like a crazy way, but just it kind of just subtly was just in me, like, okay, things are different now, and that requires a little bit of change. I started off at school in Philadelphia, and I was there for literally a semester, but it was such a great time. It was so necessary, and I think it helped ease me into that transition of feeling supported and loved and all that stuff. But as the saying would have it, all good things come to an end, and so I ended up moving to New York for school, which I rejected completely. And if there's one thing that now being that was 2022, so like 3 years out, is that when change kind of comes knocking at your door, seemingly forcefully, like it's forced, um, let it in. Let it the fuck in. Because the only thing that you're doing is delaying yourself and delaying your life. What I can really say about that is, I think now I don't have any regrets. I think it was necessary for me to go through that process of rejecting something, of hating something, of really just being like, ultimately like, fuck you so much to the point that I have no choice but to do what I want to do because I hate this so much. I think that ultimately pushed me into the things that I do now, the people that I know now, and how I feel about life in a lot of different ways. I think rejecting change ultimately can do you a disservice, and I don't, obviously not all change is good, but it is worth it for yourself, mainly to just kind of like explore it and be like, hey, okay, this is not something that I want, but like there's a reason for this, and I'm a huge believer for everything happens for a reason. So yeah, but that was just kind of the mindset that I was in, and I feel like it really stunted me to see the positive side of things, to try to enjoy my life. I was just like adamant about being like, no, this is shit, and I stayed true to myself and my self-expression and who I am, but it was really hard for that internal self-expression to feel like it was safe and comfortable in this new external environment. So that led to a lot of cognitive dissonance, which has been my word almost for this year. In a lot of ways, I felt miserable inside. Realistically, when I made that switch, when I made that transition, I felt so miserable. I didn't know who my people would be. I didn't know what I would be interested in. And also, up until that point in my life, I didn't really understand that I had the autonomy to choose my interests and choose the things that I wanted to spend my time on, just because so much of my life was kind of like, okay, you have to do this, this, that to meet this end goal. It felt like that's what I had to do. But now placed in this new environment with new people that I didn't really like, in a city that I was like, fuck you, like I was really just not trying to love it at all. I spent the first year that I was there, or maybe like 4 months that I was there, really just like trying, but it was super half-assed. It wasn't until I started working that I was like, okay, I now have a reason to kind of branch out, to meet new people, to do new things, try it out. And I did. And truly, it wasn't as simple as just getting to the point of like, hey, try this out. It was more of like, oh, I am absolutely miserable. I feel like I've reached rock fucking bottom. The only thing that can take me out of this is God himself. Like, I literally remember sitting on my floor in the dark and just praying and being like, God, like, I have nothing else to do. I am so sad. I don't know what to do. Please just guide me. I think that actual desperate plead, that was truly genuine, because I just genuinely felt no control over my life, no change, anything like that, led me to really start to seek out the change and opportunities in my life. And so I started working, I saw this opportunity, and I met some people, and it all just felt so divinely guided, the way in which, I had been for years of my life been interested in making music, but something always was like, no, there's no point. What's the point of putting time and effort into it? Like, there is no outcome. And I think for so long, because my brain was in the mindset of like, oh, you have to do something in order to get something, or there needs to be some sort of outcome. If there isn't, there's no point. And so that blocked me for so long from really diving into that interest that I felt. And anytime that I did give myself a second to just like play around on GarageBand or something, I would spend hours and hours just working on the silliest beats. And it's not like at that point I was really trying to do anything. It was more so just like, this is super fun. It was only like a couple of times I did that before really actually diving into that. And I spoke to someone, and just somehow something within me was just kind of like, mention that you like making music. Like, mind you, at this point, I had not thought about it for years. or anything like that, but I just mentioned it, and that kind of led me to a lot of what I do now, which is that as a hobby, hopefully it'd be fun to, be a producer in some small sense or whatever it may be, but I do that now, and I see so much life that it has given me, through people who have taught me, through friends that also make music. It's just been a really beautiful process of rediscovering myself and kind of understanding that, oh, I can do something simply because I love it and that it speaks to my soul and who I really am. And that has truly reconnected me to writing and reading and all the things that I've done as a child that I loved. But over the years, I mean, I'm only 22, but like over my teenage years, kind of just like let fall to the wayside in a sense, because I kind of didn't understand that those were things that were okay to do. Truly, this year, coming back from being abroad for 4 months, I really found myself at a standstill of like, okay, what is it right now in this moment in time that I want to do, who I want to be, what am I working towards? And it wasn't necessarily in a sense of like, oh, I need to figure it out now, but more so just like, just giving myself that chance to be intentional and to focus on something without feeling like it was bad. And I really committed to that. Kind of a part of this journey of committing to myself and committing to this vision that I have for myself in my head that I see and feel so clearly, I have had to learn acceptance and letting things go and dropping perfectionism. And that's a process for sure. Nobody tells you that letting go is easier said than done. And I'm sure that's like, oh, like, duh, we know. It's like, no. When you actually practically try to really let things go, oh, that shit, it's like it holds on to you tighter. So I kind of unknowingly started this process of, okay, like really having to tell myself if something was really emotionally bothering me or driving me insane. I had to be like, okay, Tessa, what does this mean to you? How do you really feel about this thing? And is it actually important in your life? Or do you want it because you feel like you need to have it, or you feel like you need to want it, or that it needs to be in your life for some reason other than it actually is serving a purpose? And that's getting real with myself in that sense really started to open a lot of new pathways of thinking about things and how I treat things and people in my life. And stillness. There was a lot of stillness that I panicked at the beginning of this year, so much so that I won't say necessarily that it drove me into a depression, but it was some form of depression where I felt completely and utterly worthless and useless, because I was really having to make so many decisions about the relationships in my life, what I was working towards, and also too, in turn with making those decisions, not seeing immediate results really just kind of almost made me spiral into a somewhat of a depressive hole. That was eye-opening, and also really just like, okay, we're not doing this. We're not doing this. I have dealt with depression and anxiety heavily in my high school years of life, and I have not been in that place ever since, in like years, which is amazing. But I told myself, this is not necessary. This is not absolutely not necessary. And it sucks because life fluctuates and life changes and things and people are inconsistent, but the main thing and the best thing that I can do for myself is be consistent in having trust in the universe, in God, in myself, and having faith. To this day, sometimes can be hard, but it is an active choice that I make every day that I wake up, because that's all that I can do, is have faith in myself and that everything is okay. And so, kind of in making this video and posting more, is that I can show myself that it's okay to not be perfect, and that it is okay to really kind of just show up as I am in the process that I am in whatever part of journey that I am, and still know that, okay, I can still be the person that I feel like I want to be, the person that I say that I am, and feel comfortable in myself without everything that I envision and that I want being there. It really is just a trust the process moment of I'm making music and hopefully getting better and growing in my identity as someone who does that, someone who writes, and continuing to capture my life in whatever way feels appropriate. For me, I think at this point I have suppressed myself so much to where now the only other option I have is to just kind of let it all out. I hope that I can connect with people in this way and kind of connect further with myself and make it feel not so scary to be open and to be myself and to be seen and to be heard, because it really just is all a process, and it really is just a thing of like, hey, there's really not much to fear here. It's more so like, can I do it? And it's like, yeah, I can. I'm making this kind of as my declaration, as like being 22 feels like that age where it's like, okay, when there's nothing really in your face of like, hey, this is what you need to do, it's kind of that point of like, okay, we have a kind of blank canvas, how do you want to paint it? I'm like, all right, I'm gonna pick out my colors, pick out the brushes that I want, all that, and just go from there. I'm just kind of gonna capture my life in the summer and hopefully beyond to kind of just like, I don't know, for funsies, because I'm bored, because I can, like, I don't know, fuck. So yeah, and yeah, that's it.
I think the lady expressed herself. Is there any question you'd like me to ask her?